This is the story of how I sold my $1.5 million business by 20 years old. And as much as I'd like to say I sold it for millions and millions of dollars and rode off into the sunset, that's not quite what happened. See, it's January 2022, a new year. My clothing company, American Waffle, had grown to $1.3 million in sales in just 1 year. I moved to Miami. I lived in a high-rise apartment. I drove a spec'd out Tesla. I ran a successful business. I was living the life I dreamed. But things weren't all sunshine and rainbows. In the last year, the business had some troubles of its own. Because our demographic leaned conservative, we were kicked off, banned, deboosted, canceled from almost every single social media platform, email service provider, and payment processor we used. All that remained was running ads from a second Facebook page and on TikTok. The market loved our products, but with the censorship, quite literally could not get enough. In fact, we spent so much on TikTok ads, they assigned us our own TikTok representative to help us directly. At first, this sped up the process of getting ads pre-approved, as we were able to bypass the process. However, over the next few months, we were ping-ponged back and forth between our own representative and TikTok's policy team. First, they wanted to adjust our landing page, then modify our ads, but the slippery slope continued to a point where TikTok's policy team made the ultimate decision to ban our product outright and suspend our account. What was the last straw? They claimed the word pissed could not be used. This was false, and they added an addendum to their policy shortly after. Other than Facebook, the most expensive, least functional platform, we had nowhere else to go. I tried looking into alternative forms of advertising like radio, print, or podcasting, but all received the same answer. The minimum order quantity was too high, at least $10,000 to start testing. I tried renting newsletters and alternatives, but no form of sustainable advertising was available to us. Although our product was in massive demand where we could advertise, since we did not have a unique marketing channel, we finally came to one conclusion. I was no longer the right person to run the business. It must be sold. So I researched a few brokerages, many of them unserious, and was ultimately referred by a buddy of mine who sold his company to a brokerage called Quiet Light. I met with a broker that specialized in selling the same type of businesses I had run and made the decision to go all in. Now, what most of these internet gurus don't realize is you can fake screenshots, dupe people into your scams, rent your Lamborghini or jet or yacht, but what you cannot do is sell a legitimate business. Everything's verified, from sales to P&L statements to bank statements to credit card statements to vendor relationships to company formation documents to operating agreements to trademarks and licenses to SOPs and your own damn tax return. The due diligence in dealing with mergers and acquisitions is second to none, unless you're Sequoia with FTX. First, we had to come up with a business portfolio. This was a business summary package of financials, questionnaires, interviews, executive summaries, overviews, and more for potential buyers to read. Now, when I signed on the engagement letter, the broker said we'd go to market at 2 to 2.5 times multiple and close in 90 days. But by the time everything had been sorted out, and after I knew what an SDE was, 2 to 3 months had passed. By then, the TTM had shifted and the multiple we went to market with was 1.5. Nonetheless, we started interviewing potential buyer after buyer after buyer. Some I organically found through Twitter or private equity events, but the majority were from Quiet Light's database. This is when I realized there is a whole other world of very wealthy, very anonymous people who pay lots of money to be kept private. The type of buyer we were going after was one with a unique marketing channel in the political niche so that they would be the missing puzzle piece to the business. A buyer approached us, let's call him Luke, claiming to have an email list of 3 million subscribers across multiple businesses. He could take American Waffle and promote it across his businesses to make a far greater return. And with the midterms approaching, we negotiated a 1.5 multiple and signed an LOI contingent on closing in 2 weeks. This meant Luke was the only buyer we could move forward with due to the exclusivity agreement. As he started conducting due diligence, we negotiated the APA and sent the final draft for him to sign. And then crickets. Luke went dark and the exclusivity agreement had expired. Should we go back to market at a different multiple or have faith and keep waiting for Luke? This is the decision that kept me up at night. Maybe something happened to him. Maybe he was busy. We were so close to closing. What was going on? After more calls, emails, and texts that I could count from the broker, Luke finally responded saying he has COVID. And when I asked why it took 18 days to respond, he claimed his father had passed as well. But at this point, I didn't know what to believe. After everything was ready to go, the previous LOI and APA have been agreed upon, and not responding to us in the most unprofessional manner, Luke emails us with completely new terms for the deal.
Are you kidding me?
With two options. One is a contingency plan guaranteeing results after close within a 15% margin of error. And the other is a 1x multiple with earnouts up to 1.6x. Luke had gone back on his word. It's now the end of July. We finally get on a call with Luke, and guess what? He suddenly has a business partner we were never told about, suggesting earnouts and thresholds. Now, up to this point, I'd gone through what's called a black swan event. I lost everything. My business was declining. I was running 4 different LLCs. I broke my arm with $5,000 in hospital bills. I tried launching a dog merchandise business, a supplement brand. My accountant had screwed me over for $20,000. I made a bunch of dumb financial mistakes, like a $52,000 Shopify loan at 17% interest, leasing a Tesla, buying expensive furniture, moving again, doing marketing consulting on the side, spending $10K a month between business and personal, and was without a doubt the loneliest time of my life. It felt like the business was the one thing I had left. So when this bumbleclot suggested seller financing, I was pissed. I was in so deep, it seemed like there was no going back. So we came to an agreement of half in cash now and half in 6 months at a 2x multiple, subject to closing in 7 days.
So you've thought it over, yes, and you accept our offer. We can finally put this whole thing behind us?
No.
But even then, they tried throwing in impossible liabilities like retaining the initial payment to leave me with nothing if they did something, or certain indemnity clauses. So by now, it's early August, nearing the end of the 90-day period, and Luke goes dark again. From my broker, he's gone completely dark. Every day that goes by, the situation deteriorates. And finally, on August 8th, Luke emails us claiming to have gotten hit by a frozen wave from his investor after he tried to order from the website and errored out. And I'm here thinking, what investor? People were still ordering from the website. He says he was good with the 1.5 multiple originally, and even quotes himself as a disingenuous asshole. So the guy that helped cause me so much pain, headache, and time after 2.5 months calls himself an asshole. Unbelievable. So after a final phone call, the deal fell through, and I thought all may have been lost. So we did a super fast relaunch at 1 multiple, interviewed a few more buyers, then found a strategic partner on August 15th, the correct people, signed an LOI by August 17th, 2 weeks due diligence, negotiated and signed an APA and an escrow agreement, and begun the asset transfer process. We gave their team access, SOPs, and helped get everything set up. So after the entire $1.5 million business had been transferred over and the escrow release forms had been signed on Friday, September 2nd, I received nothing for the entire Labor Day weekend. We'd missed the 3 p.m. cutoff by minutes. The banks had closed. And that weekend, I was packing up all my stuff to move back home. So on the morning of Tuesday, September 6th, as I'm heading to the airport, refreshing my bank account, on the phone with the escrow agent, in line to board my flight, I look down and the wire hits. All in all, it felt bittersweet. On one hand, I wasn't able to sell my business for millions and millions of dollars. I put myself through more stress than I knew what to do with, and I endured a black swan event. But on the other, I was moving on, free from the chains I had wrapped myself in, with a sizable cash amount for a 20-year-old, and a new focus in mind, sharing my story and building relationships with the people that matter most. So if I had to sum up the entire excruciating 9-month journey, the thing I kept telling myself over and over was, you cannot lose if you do not quit. Click subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.